Hey there. I wanted to talk today about the Gemini 3.0 benchmarks, which we crafted together over the weekend and the last days, versus 2.5 Pro, 2.5 Flash, and last but not least, uh, flowing into the game last Tuesday, Opus 4.5. To my knowledge, I haven't seen much real life benchmarks. Of course, everyone everyone has seen the benchmarks which were given out by DeepMind and by Anthropic, but to my knowledge, I haven't seen much real world benchmarks for those systems in the last few days on LinkedIn. So yeah, please give me a second to explain you the benchmarks. So overall, the benchmarks were set up in June, July by ourselves for a project which was mostly around sales automations or given emails. So long emails come in, so most likely page size 2 to 3 pages, or with a lot of text. And then you have to extract 25, around about 25 parameters from those emails. And yeah, since we were already doing ontology for the whole year, these benchmarks are based on ontology-backed LLM calling or agent calling with tool calling and ontologies. And what we then derived for sales automation is that, yeah, usually bad, most likely I would call it useless usage, Gemini 2.5 Flash. If you know some real-world application for this model, which is giving useful answers, then please post into the comments. We don't use it because it's most likely giving just nonsense answers. 88% is not good enough that a customer would say, okay, 12% off is good enough for me, I will use it. However, for the most advanced models, like for example in summer Gemini 2.5 Pro, we have much better results where usually customers say, check, this is good enough for me, 2.5% or 3% error I can live with, and most of my staff members are also over the period of time or 8 hours of work, they are also not more accurate, and I can use that time with something much more valuable and better. And there we derived in summer 97.9% or 89% roughly for 2.5 Pro. So now I put this into Dash background. So why Dash 3.5? And we've rerun exactly the same benchmarks this week. And we repeated it 2-3 times. Now at that date, Gemini 2.5 Pro gave only maximum accuracy in 3 runs of 94.4%. So basically we lost 3.5 percentage points, sorry. We repeated this, and yeah, to our extent from API request and performance-wise, we cannot explain it. Thinking budget stayed the same, API parameters in general stayed the same. However, the overall results are much worse than before. The only explanation Sufyan and I have is that it's an artificial effect that some of the GPUs or especially the TPUs were reassigned to Gemini 3.0 usage, and therefore the thinking budget, even though we kept it the same, but maybe in the backend it was reduced to a maximum cutoff value and therefore have less accuracy than in summer for the same model. And for Gemini 3.0 Pro, we now see 98.2%. So in this real world benchmark, so once again, sales automation, 4,000 emails per day, test data size was 300 emails, 25 extracted parameters. And there we see 98% accuracy, 98.2%. So that's usually where customers, as I said earlier, make a check on it. So usually people say, okay, 2% percentage points is good enough for me. I will put usage. And if you compare now 97.9% with 98.2%, basically it's more or less the same system. Yes, these systems are probabilistic and so on, but our error bar, sorry, I didn't put it in, is 1%. So basically you can say Gemini 3.0 Pro and 2.5 Pro has the same results in our real-world sales automation benchmark. So basically it's somewhat less end of benchmark. However, then we got our fingers down to Opus 4.5 Pro on Tuesday. And there the results are once again ontology-backed. So you won't receive such good results with just the normally trained model. So now you have to put some ontology and some vocabulary for your special use case into it. There we have 99.3%, and this is also confirmed via several runs. So that means summarizing, we definitely see an increase of accuracy comparing Gemini 3.0 or 2.5 with Claude Opus, and it's near, for our use case at least, it's near to perfection. So human error is completely excluded, and we definitely see with 99.3% a very decent result. However, also for Gemini 3.0 Pro, are also pretty good, I would say. Then it basically comes usually say in those videos, it's all about costs and benchmark price to or accuracy to price point value benchmarks. So basically you have to put in automated benchmarks like this one, what we have here, benchmark all the LLMs using your agent and your tool calling. Don't forget to have different benchmarks for different tool callings according to best practice. And then you end up with a pretty reasonable overview about accuracy versus latency and price. And here I'm showing accuracy and latency, because price is more or less subject to change at the moment. But what I can say is that at least for our benchmark, cost saving by using 2.5 Flash is definitely not an option for our real world benchmark. And cost extension to 3.0 latest model by Gemini family is also not worth the penny. So basically it's more or less not measurable, the performance increase in terms of accuracy, at least for our benchmark not. But maybe for Claude, you could think about usage, and maybe it makes sense for you, your use case. Give it a try. Yeah, let's talk last about latency for serving requests, so 95% interval. Lower is better. You see, of course, Gemini 2.5 Flash was always the fastest model. Pretty fast, but pretty useless answers. Overall judge. Gemini 2.5 Pro was pretty slow, especially once we believe that it's a reassignment of CPU or GPU allocations in data center, and there we definitely see much worse performance for Gemini 2.5 Pro with around about 8 seconds, 95% latency. But for Gemini 3.0 Pro, with all the TPUs or most of the TPUs assigned to the node pool, which serves Gemini 3, we definitely see performance with 4 seconds. Compared to Claude is even on the level, so also 4 seconds. So summarizing, Gemini and Anthropic are basically latency-wise on the same level, but performance-wise, you can really get out 1%, so the last bits out of your use case, comparing here real-world examples, not scientific benchmarks. For real-world examples, you can squeeze out a little bit of last digits accuracy with the latest Opus, but Gemini 3.0 should be also good or near to perfect for most of the benchmarks. So stay tuned.